So over 1,000 SANDF members are deployed to the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is part of the United Nations Organization's Stabilisation mission. This comes after President Cyril Ramaphosa extended their tour of duty to December. Well, Defence Analyst Dean Wingrin says the decision to extend the deployment of the SANDF in the Eastern DRC was expected. However, Wingrin is warning that the South African troops are ill-equipped, which will make it difficult for them to operate effectively.
The area is not conducive to easily transporting troops around. The roads are in bad condition. It's muddy. It's dense forests as well. And without South Africa having the air cover, Oryx helicopters for logistics and transport, the Roy Falk attack helicopter to cover them and to press the attacks against the rebel groups, it's not easy for the defense force to be there.
All right, let's get some analysis now, or a reaction rather, to the news of that extension. We're joined by Kobus Marais, who is the DA's head of defense. So, Kobus, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, initial reactions here, the extension of those troops are now, or the period of those troops being in Eastern DRC now extended to December. What do you make of it?
Good morning, Naledi. Good morning to your viewers. Yes, I mean, we must remember that I think, as Dean has also said, that we have been there and part of MONUSCO, especially the Force Intervention Brigade in the Eastern DRC, since 1999. So, on a yearly basis, the President is obliged to, send and give authority to the extension. Now, in the past, it has always been done from April to April, but we are aware that the United Nations are withdrawing from the DRC, and their target date is end of 2024. We know that the president of the DRC has basically requested them to depart earlier, and we know that there's been a target date of June, July this year. Although, this is quite in line with I would say, an organized and a well-planned total withdrawal from the DRC by the United Nations, by the end of December 2024. So in that regard, that is in line, and it is what was expected to happen.
Okay. What do you make then around some of the, I suppose, the concerns that have been raised around just how well resourced our SANDF members really have been, if that has been adequate as they sit in the Eastern DRC?
We are very, very poorly resourced, very, very poorly supported. We know that, as Dean has also elaborated on, we have been used to have 4 or 5 Oryx helicopters in the DRC. They were always flying in pairs, especially when they, enter the so-called red zone. They were always supported and escorted by the Roy Falk, which is a lethal attack helicopter. Now, without any Oryx available and with basically only one Oryx available, it is devastating, and it is actually dangerous and irrational and irresponsible to deploy our soldiers. We know that, especially the new SAMI DRC, the SADC version of that has been really in chaos and in tatters over the last months, and we have already seen loss of lives as part of that SADC deployment. So, in our opinion, we should not be there. We cannot afford it. Remember, we have been refunded by the United Nations on a yearly basis between 450 and 750 million rand against the authorized expenditure of 1 billion rand. Now there's an additional nearly 2.4 billion rand totally unfunded, and that means that it has to be taken from somewhere, stealing from Peter to pay Paul, and most likely it will be, again, our prime mission equipment, the maintenance and replacement, and the upgrading of that. So, and we know that, we do not have the funds to provide the necessary weapon systems, modern weapon systems, the technology, even the stock of ammunition is becoming a problem because we cannot really afford that. And we also know that, the oryx that is in the DRC needs an urgent, major overhaul and a service, which means that aircraft must come back to South Africa somehow, and it must be replaced, and we do not have the aircraft to really replace that with. So we are in a dire situation, and that's why we have called for the total withdrawal of our troops from the DRC. It's about time that the African Union, and especially the Eastern African community, must take responsibility for what happens in the Eastern DRC. Remember, all of those countries are involved are all members of the East African Community Bloc. And, South Africa, as the most southern member of the DRC, certainly do not have the national interest and a threat to our national security in the Eastern DRC that can justify our involvement and the spending of money that we do not have, because that will only exacerbate the downward spiraling of our defense capabilities in South Africa, and that is not in the best interest of our citizens.
Yeah, well, considering just the shortage of resources that you've just listed there, Kobus, I mean, would you describe then the situation as our troops in the Eastern DRC are sitting ducks?
They are absolutely sitting ducks, and we must remember, besides the fact that we've already seen the deaths and the shooting down of Oryx helicopters by the M23s, but remember that M23s are using much more advanced technologies these days. We know that they use precision target bombings. We know that they are using drones. We know that they are using surface-to-air missiles. And we just don't have the capabilities to fight that with, and the technology. So we are falling behind. And if we are incapable of fighting the M23, which is not our enemy anyway, then we must consider and reconsider, the awkward position that we put our soldiers in.
Right.
That is not fair. Yes, in any war situation, there are casualties. However, you have to resource and equip your soldiers the best possible way that they can protect themselves and do their job properly.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, Kobus. Thank you so much for speaking to us, and we really do appreciate your time.